What if the monsters in Fromville aren't predators, but maintenance workers? What if the talismans aren't charms, but resistors in a massive emotional circuit? Today we decode the greenhouse theory. We're looking at Fromville not as a prison, but as a ritual machine designed to harvest human consciousness. From the 1884 Meridian Conference to the biological solder in Boyd's blood, the machine is running and the crop is almost ready. There's a subtle way to view Fromville that makes its chaos seem almost mechanical. It's reminiscent of an ancient ritual machine, something crafted long ago to transform individuals through a repetitive process. When you line up the scattered clues, the worms, the talismans, the music, the peculiar trio taken into the dungeon, a new picture starts to emerge. Imagine the town not as a prison, but as a system set up to process human emotions. Old alchemical traditions describe transformation as a three-stage journey known as the magnum opus. It begins with nigredo, the blackening phase, where matter decays and identity fades. Next comes albedo, the whitening, when something pure begins to rise from the ruins. Finally, there's rubedo, the reddening, where everything fuses into a brand new state of being. It's hard not to notice how closely this pattern mirrors the three individuals drawn into the dungeon beneath the ruins. Randall embodies anger as if it were armor. With suspicion, aggression, and constant hostility towards the world, he epitomizes decay and confrontation with darkness, perfectly fitting the role of Nigredo. Julie, on the other hand, stands at the opposite end of the spectrum. She emotionally anchors those around her, her identity rooted in family, empathy, and connection. In alchemical terms, her energy resembles albedo, the moment when light starts to seep back in after a collapse. Murray occupies a space between them. She grapples with addiction, trauma, recovery, and relapse. She isn't solely darkness or purity, but rather a body caught in the midst of transformation. This uneasy middle ground reflects rubedo, where everything begins to blend together before something new emerges. If Fromville indeed thrives on emotional energy, then these three may not have been chosen by chance. They could symbolize essential ingredients in a process the town has been attempting to complete for a very long time. Even the talismans take on a new significance when viewed through this lens. While many assume the stones are mere religious charms designed to repel monsters, their symbols are intriguingly geometric. The lines divide the surface into circular patterns that resemble pathways. Rather than offering protection, they seem more akin to a circuit diagram. In electronics, a resistor doesn't completely block electricity, it slows the current, stabilizing the flow to prevent the system from overloading. The talismans might work in a similar way. They don't entirely banish the creatures. The monsters can still enter if someone opens a door. Instead, the stones regulate the energy exchange between the home and the outside system. A house with a talisman becomes a controlled environment where the harvest doesn't occur too rapidly. When a door swings open, the circuit breaks, resistance drops to zero, and the energy, the monsters, rushes in. In this sense, the creatures might not be predators in the traditional sense. They behave less like hunters and more like maintenance workers for a peculiar ecosystem. Just as computers run a process called defragmentation to reorganize old files and maintain storage efficiency, the monsters may serve a similar function. When humans linger in the town for too long, their emotional patterns become outdated data. A system can only hold so much data before it crashes. Humans are files. When someone overstays or becomes corrupt data, the monsters arrive to clear the drive. Boyd occupies the center of this machinery in an even stranger way. At first glance, his tremors seem like an ordinary illness, but they fluctuate with the town's rhythms. Sometimes his body stabilizes, while at other times it shakes as if something unseen is pushing against his nerves. In medieval legend, there was a figure known as the Fisher King, a wounded ruler whose health was intertwined with the land itself. When the king suffered, the land withered. Boyd's nervous system appears to be trying to process a signal far too powerful for its organic wiring. They've patched the connections in his blood to keep him synced with the town's older, deeper frequency. Boyd resembles that myth more than one might expect. His condition often worsens when the town itself feels unstable. And then there were the worms. When Boyd carried them, his connection to the place felt almost harmonious. He moved with a strange sense of clarity, instinctively understanding the monsters better. The moment the worms vanished, that balance was lost. The simplest way to conceptualize the worms is through engineering terminology. When a circuit breaks, a technician uses solder to reconnect severed wires. The worms may have acted as biological solder, temporarily reconnecting Boyd to an older layer of the town system. This also sheds light on something even more unsettling. While he carried them, Boyd had the ability to eliminate a creature outright. Even the music scattered throughout the town starts to feel intentional. Jukeboxes, music boxes, melodies wafting through scenes where silence should prevail. In radio technology, information cannot travel alone. It must ride on a carrier signal, a stable wave that conveys the message across distances. Here, music could serve that purpose. The songs stabilize the emotional frequency of the town's inhabitants, aligning their minds with whatever process is unfolding beneath the surface. For a system to harvest emotional energy from a crowd, everyone must be on the same channel. The music creates a stable frequency of nostalgia and loss, keeping the residents' thoughts tuned to a specific wavelength. It's like an acoustic map, a songline. Another clue quietly waits in a dusty newspaper from 1884. That year marked the International Meridian Conference, which standardized global time. Before that, every town maintained its own local time. Afterward, the planet shared a unified system. If Fromville emerged around that era, it may represent a peculiar attempt to create a perfect clock, a place where time doesn't progress, but cycles endlessly. Days repeat. People arrive. People disappear. The town continues. Viewed this way, Fromville resembles less a haunted settlement and more an expansive greenhouse. humans are planted within it. Fear, hope, despair, love, these emotions flourish under pressure, harvested repeatedly as the system resets. Every new arrival adds fresh genetic material to the crop. Every death clears space for the next planting. Somewhere beyond the visible machinery of the town, something may be awaiting the final outcome of that cultivation, not bodies, but consciousness. And if that's the case, escaping Fromville might not involve finding a road out of the forest. The exit could belong to the one person who changes enough, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to break the cycle that has shaped people for generations. It's a greenhouse designed to nurture human consciousness under extreme pressure. The 1884 standardization of time provided the cage. The 3-node system generates the heat. The jukebox maintains a stable environment. We aren't witnessing a struggle for survival, we're observing a harvest. The residents are the crop, and the goal isn't to escape, it's to evolve. Like a seed that only cracks open when the heat is intense enough, the town awaits a consciousness strong enough. Boyd, Tabitha, and Victor are the ones closest to breaking through. They've shifted from merely reacting to horror to engaging with the mechanics. They're no longer just survivors, they are the seeds that might finally possess the strength to dismantle the machine from within.